Hey guys! So yesterday I promised that I would come on and tell you a bit about the kind of things you can find around your home that you can use in an art journal. And I wanted to do this a bit earlier, but life. And I really wanted to dig in a bit, so it's not going to be long, but I want to look at different things that you can use to get things kick-started. And I've also given you a handy PDF, links in the comments above the video, if you want this information direct on your doorstep, ready to go. So, for me, it's one of the best things about art journaling, is that there are no rules. There's no right, no wrong way. And that means anything goes. And this applies to every aspect, not just what you put on your page, but what you use for your page, what journals you use, all of those things. So I've gathered up from my stash, and because I have a household supply stash, basically I just act like a raccoon and raid the recycling, and I use those in my creation process. Now, most art journal pages are built up in layers in some way, shape or form. So you've got the surface, maybe some collage, maybe some paint, and it's different layers, but there's 2 or 3 different layers to it. The important thing is anything goes. So we're going to have a quick look at some of the stuff I've pulled out from my little stash. So the first thing I'm going to look at is some surfaces, then some collagey bits, some stencils, some extra materials. So it's going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully we won't take long. I'm also going to tell you about what to do if you're not getting the results you want, because when you're using recycled materials, it doesn't always look as clean, it doesn't always look as polished. Now that's okay, because it's an art journal. They're not supposed to be cute and pretty, but it's nice to be able to have that sometimes. So let's have a look at the stash first, and we'll come back to a couple of questions. So, turn you guys around. Now, this, as you can see from this lovely shiny, is my stash, part of it. Now, I've got to hold the camera here, so this is going to be interesting, because I haven't got my tripod handy, and it's not playing ball anyway. So, what have I got here? These are the types of things I use as surfaces for art journal pages, or junk journal pages, or whatnot. So here I have a lovely, it's just a wrapping bag. That's it. And I can split it down its seams so that it opens out into one big thing, or I can keep it as is. I can also use it for collage, but they're nice and sturdy, so I do like them for actually working on. I've got a box here, and this is just a box that some garments came in, and it folds out nicely. Plenty of space for me to work on should I want to. Take that off. We've all had this at some point, glossy inkjet photo paper. Now this stuff is now dirt cheap and actually really, really good for playing with different techniques and different ideas. I've also got my personal favourite is actually this box of Amazon packaging. I find this stuff really sturdy. I find it works so well for holding as a surface because they're sturdy. I have this lovely puppy, which is actually an old diary, and because it's an old diary, it's good sturdy card in there, some nice white paper, so I could split this into 2 pages. I could work with it portrait, landscape, whatever, and I've also got some note paper out of it too that I could utilise. Now this is an old burrito box which opens up, and I can tear it apart, pull it to pieces. Same here, I've got a chocolate box, some cereal packaging, and again this is just some postal packaging I've picked up as well. So when you're looking at surfaces and saying I haven't got anything to work on, or you don't have a full journal, just grab a cereal box, grab that packaging, because it's not important in terms of having or art journaling what you art journal on. The important thing is that you do something, that you start it. You can always upgrade. So next thing we're going to look at is around the home, gathering collage materials. Now I've actually got quite a lot here, so you'll have to stay with me for just a few moments whilst I run through what I have picked out, because there's a chunk. Collage materials are really easy. This is the easiest bit to find in your household, second probably only to a surface. So I have some random literature, sales marketing literature from Lush, which is nice and pretty pictures. I could use this as a journal in its own right. I can pull the pages out, rip it up, shred it up, whatever. This shiny little beastie here is actually an anti-static bag from the computers that we've got. And, you know, it's just something a little different, a little bit of sparkle. I have some mini tabs, so they're basically just post-it strips you could use there. Tissue paper, that was from a gift I was given. I've got, again, some more packaging, some pretty napkins that I picked up that instead of going into being actual napkins are part of my art stash because I'm weird like that. I've got wrapping paper. This is some wrapping paper from last Christmas. This is some packaging tissue, which is nice and thick and heavy and will hold a lot of texture when I actually use it. I've got a couple of bits from toilet roll actually. So some paper comes in a sort of tissue paper. This is one of those pieces. Really handy for collage. And then I've also got some bags. So L'Occitane, Neil's Yard, Space NK, Lush, all of these things are fair game for either working on or using in collage pieces for your art journal. Now, a couple of other bits that I've pulled together as well. This is an older book, and this lovely old book is falling to bits on the spine. I'm not going to repair it. I use the pages for my art journal because they've just got so much age, so much texture, and they're so pretty. And you can find stuff like this on eBay, you can find it in a charity shop, all fair game. Notebooks, so there are plenty of pretty notebooks these days. This is one of mine. Well, this is actually Notepad, but when I get bored of using it as a notepad, then it'll just go into the stash to be used on an art journal. Dual purpose, all about dual purpose. Again, another bag. These are envelopes that I picked up, and it was when I was writing some letters, but now not so much. But I've got different sizes, different patterns. You know, they could even be used as a surface in their own right. I've got a couple of used envelopes, so a nice bright red one there. This one's transparent like a vellum. So you could use stuff like that. I've got an LCD case which has this really nice textured, what's the word I want? It's like garden fleece, but that would add a lot of texture. I can pull this out, dismantle it. And then this particular bag here has loads of bits of packaging. So these are little snippets from my diary corner. I've got clothes tags in here, bus tickets, stamps, business cards, wrapping again, packaging. All of these bits are fair game, and you know, they're everyday items. Certainly things like the bits off my diary and the bus ticket, the stamps as well. They're pretty much everyday items that you can find in your home. So we'll move on to a couple of other bits that I wanted to cover with this. Was making some marks. So when you do some painting, you make a mark on paper. And not all of us have fancy paintbrushes. That's okay, you can still create. Okay, and this is what I mean about things you can find around your home. So what I have here is some circles that I could use to dip in and print. So this is just off the top of a coffee cup. This is off a hairspray bottle up here. Big sturdy toilet roll tube. I've got an old makeup brush which is slightly dead, but it's still an old brush that I don't use, so that can go in for paint, for blending, whatever I fancy doing with it. I've got a couple of old makeup sponges, so when I'm finished killing them, I clean them out and I use them for painting, for applying paint to different surfaces. And another favourite are baby wipes. So these things are dirt cheap, really easy to get hold of, and really easy to use to apply paint with. So don't think you've got to go out and buy a mountain of special products or things to apply your paint. You've got what you need around the home. So it's not just your surfaces, it's not just your collage, you've got other things that you can apply them with them. Now, speaking of mark making, the other thing I've pulled out is this. Now, we've all seen these bath lilies, and these are phenomenal texture. You could stick them down, but you could also use them as a stencil because they're a fine mesh. And I reckon they could make some really cool pages. So that's in my stash, which I really just need to cut them down. I mean, it's easy to dismantle because you just go into the middle and cut through. But we'll deal with that later. Now, a couple more things that you've probably got kicking around the home. This is paper tape, also known as washi tape. Now, I've got some thin ones here. I've got a huge collection, being a memory keeper. But these things are so cute, and it's just a little bit of dimension. You can use them on top to finish off your page. You can use them under. But a lot of places sell them with wrapping paper now. So super simple to get hold of. Finally, last thing we're going to talk about here is actually old clothes. So here I have two rather dead, in all honesty, sort of tops. Glittery, sparkly, and these can be used on my pages, and indeed that's what I intend to use them for. So I've got beads on there, sequins that I could take off. I've got this fabric which has a lovely print to it, which means that I don't have to add necessarily loads of layers to it, and because it's quite sheer, I could also put things underneath it and still have the layers showing through. So before you give it away to the charity shop, have a think about keeping certain items to go in your journal or to do some journaling with. Now, back to me for a minute or three. That's my whistle-stop tour of things around the house that you can use to make your art journal. I really do mean that anything goes. Start with the surface and work from there. I mean, you probably will need to buy paint, and that's the thing. That's the consumable that most people have to get at some point or another. But almost anything else, stencils, methods of application, things to work on, collage pieces, they're all readily available in your home. You do not have to go and spend a fortune. So a couple of other bits we were going to cover was to really look at what happens at the end, because working with recycled materials, you don't always get the results you want, because you know, if your surface isn't white, you're not necessarily going to get the paint shining through as much as you would like. You'll not always get the most polished finished. Paint might seep into the paper, pages may fall apart. That's okay. It doesn't make your artwork not good enough. It doesn't make you a failure. It's all about the learning. It's all about the process. And at that point, it's time to start troubleshooting. Don't just say, oh my God, this happened, it's awful. Why did it happen? Because usually there's a really good reason why it went that way. It could be that the surface you started with just isn't designed to take that kind of abuse and just didn't hold up. It's fine, you've learned something from it. It's really important to ask these whys, to take pictures, put them up online in Facebook groups, be brave. Hell, put a comment onto me, drop me a message with it, ask me what went wrong. Sometimes I'll be able to tell you, other times I won't. Some things are really easy to fix. When you get paper pilling, where it's almost like you've used too much water, it could be that you've oversaturated the paper, could be that your brush has too thick a bristle, you know, or, in my case, because you've chucked so much water at it that the surface just cannot cope with that level of water and dies. So ask questions and be inquisitive, then try it again. You know, the whole point of using what you have is to make it an enjoyable, easy process that doesn't cost you the earth, where you're not spending so much money on art supplies, you're enjoying the process. So look around, get creative and have some fun. And if you want these few little essentials for starting an art journal, there's the link in the comments above, and you can get your free copy of 4 essential steps to start your art journal. And yeah, if you've got any comments, guys, leave them below, and I'll see you soon. Bye.